Here's a psychology fact you're not ready for. If you were born between 1975 and 1985, you were built for a world that disappeared right as you stepped into adulthood. You're not fully Gen X. You're not fully millennial. You are the transition generation. And transition generations carry pressure nobody talks about. You grew up analog, then had to survive digital. You learned patience before speed, privacy before exposure, independence before constant connection. And that split did something to your brain. During your most formative years, the internet was not your nervous system. Boredom existed, imagination filled gaps, and nobody could reach you every second of the day. Then the world accelerated, and you had to catch up while building your adult identity at the same time. That creates psychological friction, and friction turns into quiet exhaustion. This is what I call the historical whiplash. You were trained for stability, then launched into volatility. You were told loyalty matters, then entered an economy that rewards job hopping and personal branding. You were told humility earns respect, then discovered visibility earns opportunity. When the reward system of society clashes with the wiring of your identity, motivation becomes complicated. You want success, but the method feels unnatural. So you hesitate, you overthink, you delay posting, you question self-promotion, and louder personalities move faster while you stand still wondering what changed. And then comes the invisible pressure. Social media rewards noise, but your nervous system prefers depth. Modern culture rewards oversharing, but you were raised to handle things privately. Your brain learned safety through discretion. Now it is asked to perform constantly. When identity and environment conflict, the brain resists subtly, not dramatically, not loudly, but quietly. That quiet resistance looks like procrastination, but it is actually psychological misalignment. Now listen carefully, because this is where it gets personal. You live inside the identity split. Too emotionally aware to be fully detached like older generations. Too private to be fully transparent like younger ones. You understand vulnerability, but you still filter it. You adapt to trends, but you question them internally. You belong in conversations across generations, yet rarely feel completely mirrored by any of them. Humans crave clear categories, and you exist between categories. That in-between space can feel lonely, even when you are surrounded by people. And then there is the relationship gap. You remember when connection developed slowly, when effort meant calling, showing up, committing. Now attention is fragmented, options are endless, and depth competes with distraction. Research on decision fatigue shows that too many choices reduce satisfaction, and you feel that every time modern dating or networking feels transactional instead of intentional. You crave meaning, but you navigate speed. That mismatch creates subtle loneliness, not because you lack connection, but because depth has become rare. This leads to something powerful, something almost invisible, the nostalgia loop. When you say things were simpler back then, you are not rejecting progress. Your brain is regulating stress. Nostalgia activates neural pathways linked to safety and belonging. It lowers stress hormones and increases emotional warmth. Your mind revisits the past not to escape, but to stabilize. The world feels louder, faster, more performative, and your nervous system occasionally wants analog silence. That does not make you outdated. It makes you self-aware. But here is the part most people miss, and it matters. Inside all of this tension, there is the adaptation strength. You learn technology as it evolved, which means you understand foundations and outcomes. You can relate to older generations because you remember their norms, and you can function with younger generations because you mastered their tools. That dual literacy builds cognitive flexibility, and cognitive flexibility is directly linked to resilience. The very thing that makes you feel in between is the thing that makes you mentally strong. However, there is a shadow, the bridge burden. Transition generations often become translators, at work, in families, in culture. You explain trends to older leaders. You explain tradition to younger colleagues. You carry weight from both sides, and bridges rarely get applause. Being the stable one, the adaptable one, the reasonable one, is exhausting. Not explosive burnout, but slow drain burnout. The kind where you function perfectly, but feel slightly tired of always adjusting. So here is the truth you might have been avoiding. You do not feel out of place because you are broken. You feel out of place because you are expanded. You contain two eras inside one identity. Most generations only know one environment deeply. You know two. You understand slowness and speed, scarcity and abundance, privacy and exposure. That is psychological range, not confusion. And now comes the upgrade. If you want alignment instead of constant friction, stop asking where you fit. Start deciding what you keep. Keep your depth. Keep your boundaries. Keep your ability to be alone without panicking. But consciously upgrade your strategy. Visibility does not require arrogance. It requires intention. Self-promotion does not require ego. It requires clarity. Adaptation does not require self-betrayal. It requires awareness. You are not stuck between generations. You are the bridge between eras. And bridges are not lost. They connect. That is not weakness. That is evolution. So if you like this video, please subscribe for more psychology facts that will change how you think.